Okay, good evening, everybody. Sorry for the delay. We're back in session from our executive session, and we'll now move on to our third return to learn for the Marlborough Central School District. Mr. Brooks.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. And thank you again for the Board of Education and Administration for participating and helping us get to the point where we are tonight. I have a statement to read for the district, all the viewers, and we will be sending this statement out to our families so that they can broadly hear this with an update to our Return to Learn plan. So still we have the goals of maximizing in-person time with our children and our teachers. They need to be as connected physically in our schools as possible. We also need to establish and follow the necessary safety measures to minimize the transmission of COVID. And we also need to make sure that we respect the difficult challenges that everyone has involved in this return to learn. However, after significant careful deliberation, the Board of Education and the administration has come to a difficult decision. At this time, Marlborough schools cannot meet all of the requirements of the regulations and student programming within the next 3 weeks. Significant obstacles regarding health and safety, student courses, and programming requirements cannot be met in this time frame. The Marlborough Administration and Board of Education will present on Thursday at 7:30 during their board meeting, that's this Thursday, a detailed listing of multiple issues that have forced this decision. Because of these developments, Marlborough is delaying the opening of in-person learning and our hybrid model until further notice. We recognize that this will create a series of new challenges for families. However, under the current requirements and environment, in good conscience, we cannot simply move forward with an in-person learning model right now. Please tune into our YouTube channel on Thursday, August 20th at 7:30 p.m. for a full update during our regular Board of Education meeting. The new online academy for all students schedule is up on the screen displayed right now, and we will be sending this screenshot to all of our families and our staff members, and also be posting it on our social media pages and our website. We encourage you to come back to us Thursday night for a detailed explanation of what brought us to this decision. Thank you very much, and I'm going to pass things back to President Milazzo.
Okay, so it is the goal of the board to have an open dialogue every 2 weeks at our board meeting. The superintendent is going to refine with his staff all of the hurdles that we are now facing based on these guidelines from New York State Department of Health. And we will go into detail at each board meeting on where we are and how close we are to meeting these guidelines. Tonight, we are still going to take questions. We are going to limit questions to 45 minutes, and then we will take questions again. And at all our future board meetings, we'll have two different sections: questions on the agenda and then questions for the general public. And we will have a period of time where we'll accept questions at that time also. So I'm going to move right into your questions, realizing that we're going to get you a status update every 2 weeks until we get to the point where we can get to the point of having a hybrid model and an online academy model, hopefully sooner rather than later. So with that, I'm going to go right to the questions as you're putting them on here. I would just ask that in the chat on the YouTube channel, if you can limit what you're posting at this time really to questions. I appreciate the comments in support or against but really if we could post questions so we can try and answer as many of them as possible. So the first one I've got here is, how do people get iPads or Chromebooks?
Mike or Robin, do you want to address that? I think that they're working out a schedule for how to do that. So Mike and Robin, do you want to speak to that?
Certainly, in discussion with the buildings, really the Chromebooks are treated as textbooks. So we'll be looking to issue those within the first week or a few weeks of school. Based upon our discussions tonight and what rolls out, we'll look to have, some type of pickup option, obviously, for the various grade levels.
Right, and we are waiting on the delivery of 500 additional Chromebooks. So Chromebooks that we have in stock, we will prioritize getting those into families' hands where there's struggle with multiple devices until the 500 Chromebooks arrive from our order.
Okay. What about children with special needs?
So we are absolutely committed to making sure that we meet all of the IEP requirements for all of our special needs children. That is one of the significant pieces that we need to put in place. By running a hybrid and an online model, there are significant challenges in staffing levels and program intricacies that we need more time to develop. So we will immediately be able to meet the required IEP needs in the online model for all students. And our director of special education, along with principals, are working on that right now. The challenge that has created a significant issue for us is duplicating the experiences in both the hybrid and the online model. We'll get into some detail about that at the next meeting and in each subsequent checkup meeting every 2 weeks.
When will we be given the guidelines from the New York State Department of Health, Mike?
From Ulster County?
No, the ones from the State Health Department, the 143 pages of guidance.
Got it. That came at the mid part of July, and then we had 2 weeks to submit the original plan that we submitted right at the end of July, beginning of August, and then a week later, the governor gave direction to have schools begin to open up, and that's when we opened up our portal for parents to sign up. Children for the online portal, which closed Sunday night. We have a third of our children have been signed up by their families for the online learning, and that has introduced significant complexities along with health and safety matters.
And the guidance from the county health department revisions have been coming as recent as Friday, correct?
Correct.
Okay. How can we expect remote learning for kindergarten students to be successful?
We will put together a program that is a successful program. I am absolutely confident that our staff can meet our needs in this environment and help our children learn and grow in an online academy model. And I have faith in them that they will figure this out with our families and develop the proper structures and flexibilities that will allow our kindergartners to develop as best we possibly can in these times.
Okay. So will children be sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours?
No, they should not be sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours. There will be a structured schedule set. There are some samples of those already on our Return to Learn site, but principals will be communicating out with families with specific courses and teachers in the coming weeks, just like you normally would at the end of August. And we will have a structured and flexible schedule set that parents will be able to view. Keep in mind, we will have this communication and collaboration day during the Monday timeframe. And the expectation is that teachers will be communicating with families so that families know when the live meets are and what posts have to be done and what assignments have to be done during the course of the week, so there won't be any surprises. It will be significantly more structured with a lot more live time. but in no way should we see children in front of a screen for hours at a time, 8 hours at a time, as the question asked.
Are CTEC students still going to CTEC?
Yes.
Okay. My son is supposed to go to kindergarten. How will virtual learning work? Our family both works and I don't have childcare options.
I empathize and sympathize with this decision and understand the impact. And I know that there are childcare agencies that are scrambling to try to get additional seats. I encourage you to reach out to those in the region to find options that work for you. I know Ms. Hecht has tried to work with some agencies. I know that the Y program is trying to expand their offerings as well. We recognize as a group that this is going to be a significant challenge because of this change, and I don't have anything forthright to offer you right now for a daycare piece.
My daughter cannot have the same experience she did during the spring for online schooling. Her teacher was not supportive and no education was in place. Will there be a better program? Will there be a Striker program this year?
A what program?
Striker?
I don't know what that is. But as I just described, this fall will be significantly different than what you experienced in the spring. Much more structured, significantly more live time with teachers and live teaching and live and interactive time between students and teachers. It will not be the same as what we did in the spring.
Did someone file a lawsuit against the school reopening? The
No.
answer to that is no. The answer to that is no.
No.
It's just a matter of we cannot meet the governor's guidelines that were issued by the health department today.
Right.
What about kids who get OT in speech?
Those are parts of students' IEP programs, and we will have those programs met. How we're going to do that is a development issue that we're working on as we speak. So our special education office and our principals and our providers are working on how to implement those programs in an ongoing basis between now and opening day. So we will meet those IEP needs.
Why do I need to wait 2 days for reasoning? Why you can't meet guidelines? Seems sketchy.
Nothing sketchy here. There's fast and furious developments, and I need to develop out the full slide set so that it's in a full vetted out presentation. This is a decision that was just made between the Board of Education and the administration within the last half hour after a 2-hour deliberative session. So there's nothing sketchy, nothing hidden here. It's just we need to develop this fully out in a presentation format so that it's coherent for families to see and understand.
We talked about CTEC. CTEC is moving forward. The next one, my daughter will regress. She's in special education and needs her services.
That is the primary reason why we've built in the communication and collaboration day. Besides the educational side of our program looking significantly different from the spring, the communication expectation for teachers to families, teachers to students has significantly changed because of what we're expecting. So you're not going to have to wait 10 weeks to see a report card to find out how your children are doing. This should be weekly, especially for our most fragile children. Weekly communication, if not more frequent than that, regarding how well children are doing, are they participating, and are they progressing?
We have had 5 months to put together an acceptable plan. This is irresponsible. I'll take the first part of that, Mike, and I'll let you jump in from there. The reality of it is the state did not issue any guidance specific until mid-July, and then we had to wait till the end of July for the governor's decision, and we're still getting guidance on a weekly basis. So the rules and the goalposts keep getting moved, so it's very hard to come up with and incorporate all of the concerns of everybody in such a short period of time, especially when you must consider the fact that a majority of our instructional staff does not work during the summer. Our administrators are all working. Everybody has been in. Chairs have been trying to help, but those are all issues that have to be taken into account. Mike, do you want to add anything?
Sure. And really, there was a pivot point once our plans were submitted, and the governor added on some significant changes for Department of Health to contribute plans to our plans for testing and tracing requirements and health and safety and wellness regulations. And that occurred within the last week. So we got the latest update from the Department of Health, Ulster County Department of Health, as they were also scrambling for the governor's last minute changes to put together a program for when or if there's illness in our schools. I will get into significant detail on this on Thursday, but when and if illness shows up in our schools, COVID or not, there are new guidelines in place that are now only less than a week old that we must implement. And we simply can't do all of that and ensure that we can keep all of our children and our staff members safe. So that is one of the significant headwinds that we have to face and begin to address as a society and a community.
The next one is the full online academy still starting on the same date of September 15th? As the slide shows on the screen, we're going to still move forward with the limited opening the 8th through the 11th, and the families will get their letters by the end of August, just like any class schedules would be coming back. And then full online academy for everybody will begin on the 15th. Yes.
And it's going to be all online for all students, and no one has to enroll in this. We're simply going to be putting everyone into the online academy going forward for this program.
What about students with IEP? Services are still needed.
Correct, and we will make sure we meet those service needs.
Will a new supply list get sent for the online academy?
That is absolutely something that has to be retooled. Obviously, this is a new development for all of our staff as well. Administrators have helped the Board of Education and the administration come to this level of decision. Staff are hearing about this as we're speaking about this as well. So yes, those are things that need to be reevaluated immediately from a materials perspective.
Okay. Testing for kindergartners, and how will they get extra help if needed?
We have a robust academic intervention service program, and we will continue to have that program in place. Our AIS intervention staff working at the kindergarten level will work in concert with our teachers and put together an online component to our that complements our kindergarten program.
Is the district addressing building ventilation issues?
We currently don't have any building ventilation issues, so all of our systems in our 3 buildings meet or exceed all the requirements for filtration of air and also the exchange of fresh air into classrooms. So they all meet or exceed the requirements.
Will our children be engaging with their teachers face-to-face virtually, or will the classes be taught on camera so the kids can engage, or will it be just posted assignments?
It will be a blend of live meets and posted assignments with significantly more live meets than you experienced in the past. So there'll be a lot more live interaction than there is not live interaction.
More discontinued issues with daycare, and we all understand those, and we don't, we will post what we can in a way of what services are available. Yes, somebody couldn't get the page to refresh. We are going fully online, and fully online will be phased in the 8th through the 11th, and then everybody will be on the 15th. if the kids are required to be online, how can you start school without giving out Chromebooks before the first day?
We should be able to help a significant amount of families out with existing stock of Chromebooks. Ms. Hecht and Mr. Bakatsias will be working with principals on how we can get those out to families that are in immediate need while we're waiting for the 500 Chromebooks to come in with our order that has been already placed.
That one. What was the lawyer's concerns? We had counsel to guide us on dealing with these legal issues that are set forth in a regulation. So the board generally will meet with our counsel to provide guidance and interpretation, so that we make sure that we're not putting not only our students and our staff, but our taxpayers in any kind of jeopardy. Just trying to scroll down and not miss anybody here. With meeting all the goals for the IEPs and service, how is that going to be monitored, and we get more updates frequently rather than quarterly on the progress?
I think actually right there in the question is the answer. More frequent updates from teachers to families on a weekly, bi-weekly, if not more frequently basis, so that progress monitoring can be much more close to when progress is going well or not going well. So you'll see significantly better ability to monitor progress with our with the model we are moving forward with. You're not going to have to wait for a 10-week report card.
This is irresponsible and totally unacceptable. We recognize the challenges as an educator and a parent is essential that we consider the social and emotional health and well-being of our students.
I understand. This is not something that we enter into lightly, but in reality, in all good conscience right now, we cannot responsibly move forward with in-person learning.
What will the plan be for children whose parents work during the day? What if we cannot expect the people helping us with childcare to make sure the kids are marked present every day?
Valid point, and that's something that our principals will work with our teachers to build in as much flexibility as we possibly can, so that we don't create more problems, we solve problems.
Does the format of the online academy change from what was originally presented?
No, not really. No, just everybody now moves into the online academy. There's no need for enrolling in the online academy. Effectively now, everyone moves into that model.
When does the schedule get released for the online? How long these children are expected to be online? The schedules, as the slide shows, will come out at the end of August, like the typical schedule. And if you follow the presentation, it was posted that'll show the online academy. It's in our return to learn sections of each school. It'll show the different formats for the online academy right on each district's webpage.
All right, so if you go to our
webpage,
Return to Learn page, you'll see sample schedules for each of the 3 schools in 3 detailed presentations, and we will pull those detailed pieces out and send those home to families so they can see what a sample schedule would look like. Actual schedules for children of who their teachers are and when their courses will meet will be coming out as they normally would on our school tool portal towards the end of August, beginning of September.
How do I get in contact for online learning and a change of address and phone number?
Fantastic question. Call the main office of your school and they will direct you to help you with that information.
How do I pick up a hotspot in addition to the 2 Chromebooks my children need?
Contact Robin Hecht's office to see if she can help you out with something here at the central office.
Can we kick everyone out of our abandoned elementary school and spread the kids out over all our buildings when in-person teaching is safe?
Fantastic question. Middle Hope School is right now rented to Orange Ulster BOCES, so it's an occupied building. I guess theoretically we could occupy that building because it is still a viable school. However, there are only about 6 classrooms in that school, so it's a very small school. There was a temporary addition that added some more classrooms on that was removed years ago. But there are only about 6 classrooms that are truly viable classrooms in that building. So it does not really resolve anything. Any one of our grade levels at the elementary level has 6 sections of grade level. So those 6 classrooms would not make a significant difference in our program offerings. But it's absolutely something that can be on the radar when we look at options in the future.
Where are the teachers teaching from?
Our plan is to have our teachers teaching in our schools. We'll work out the details with that over the next couple of weeks.
So I understand this correctly. We are all remote learning regardless of hybrid choice, and will get instructions for such online in the coming weeks.
Correct, and you'll get significantly more detail sooner than the coming weeks. But the specific schedule for your children will be coming out on School Tool for middle school and high school, as they normally would towards the end of August, right at the beginning of September.
Highland is going back. I wish we could.
I think there's no one on this call that
we all wish we could too.
Right.
And I think what everybody needs, this was a very difficult decision for the group. And I think one of the things to realize this, unless you have an extremely, extremely small district, to meet the letter of all of these regulations, I don't know how some districts are doing it and taking into account all of the safety requirements for the cleaning between classes and etc. So this isn't just a Marlboro issue, just so everybody understands. If it would be nice if the online learning plan had been mapped out far in advance. We cut the school year by 10-ish days in June. Why didn't you spend the summer planning?
Oh, well, we have been planning. We waited until the mid to the latter part of July for the specific guidelines, the 144 pages. Then the governor made his announcement at the beginning of August. He changed that expectation set when he put in some new regulations. And just last week, we got those new regulations and expectations for health and safety issues on how to coordinate with the Department of Health for any health matters that do come up regarding any positive COVID tests or just illness in general. That literally happened last week with the final update on Friday. So there's been no delay in our planning. It's just we're adapting to the changes that are coming at us almost moment by moment at this point.
When will guidance counselors be available to discuss my high school juniors' needs?
Full guidance staff will be in next week. There is a guidance counselor there this week that can help out with general needs, and Mr. Lawler and Ms. Thomas can help out with any specific questions as well. So contact the main office at the high school if you have something that can't wait till next week.
Will there be sports? I'll answer that one. We're all waiting to see the direction from the governor's office. Everything's been pushed back to the latter part of September. And so it's all up in the air at this point. So we won't be having a soft opening then. We're going straight to online on the 15th. No, we will have a soft opening September 8th through the 11th. And then everybody will go online fully on the 15th.
Frank, a question popped up. When we had the signups for the online academy, what percentage of students signed up for it? And approximately 1/3 of our students chose the online academy, which the deadline was Sunday. So 1/3 of our students. It varied by grade level, but overall, about 1/3 of our students signed up for the online academy. Maybe a little more than 1/3.
So when do we hear details for the online? I need to make sure that I fully understand the schedule my daughter needs to keep.
You can see some samples right now on a Return to Learn page. The 3 schools have detailed listings of their sample online academy schedules, and we will peel those out and send those in a communication tomorrow. But the actual schedules and the actual teacher assignments for the elementary school and the actual schedules with courses, classes, times, and teachers at the middle school and high school won't be out until the end of this month or the beginning of September.
Mr. Brooks, you were on vacation 2 weeks ago when you should have been in the office setting up 3 separate plans in preparation for whatever New York State allowed. I will just say this before I let Mr. Brooks respond. Although Mr. Brooks tried to take some days off, there wasn't a day that went by that he wasn't actually working during that 2-week vacation, even though his out of office message was on.
Right. So I turned on my vacation responder when I went off for 1 day of vacation. And then when these developments broke, and by the way, the vacation was a staycation, I immediately canceled all of my plans and returned to the office. And actually over the weekend where this all started to break, was answering phone calls and emails all weekend long. So while I respect and understand that that there are some concerns there, it's not an issue. There was no away time for me. I've been on and am committed to getting this right for the school district.
Yes, you have. If our children are full remote, how will CTEC work for them?
Fantastic question. The high school staff is working with the BOCES staff on how those schedules mesh, and also our transportation office is going to work on transportation schedules to get those children out to the BOCES program. So they will be meshed. I mean, these are some of the planning pieces that are we need time for. So that's one of the elements that we need the next couple of weeks to finalize those pieces. BOCES is working on it as fast as we are, as fast as every other district around us is. But that's what part of the planning
Will
is.
the online? Sorry, Mike.
Sorry.
Will the online be reviewed in October? We are going to review the hybrid and our online every 2 weeks until the students are back in school fully. The board is committed that at every board meeting, and if need be in between, as things evolve, we will continue to have these discussions and figure out how quickly we can get the students back in the buildings. And we don't have a hard date either way, whether it's earlier or later. The idea is to do it as soon as absolutely possible and still be in compliance with the regulations. CTEC, you said CTEC is still going on. Are they being bused there, or are they going to do it at home or online?
CTEC is a model at CTEC. So we'll be busing our children to CTEC out in Goshen.
The question asked against about the teachers. The teachers will be teaching from their classrooms, is the plan.
Correct.
What if I can't get my children to live meets?
We are expecting that our teachers will work with you on flexibility. We recognize that this is a model that has to have more structure and has to have live scheduled meets, but also has to help families out so it doesn't create issues that go beyond just learning. Learning is absolutely a center part of this, but also taking care of our extended needs is also a piece to this. and respecting that there are different stressors for everybody.
My connections were never good and couldn't successfully do live meets. What happens then?
That's where we're going to have to work with you're going to have to work directly with your teacher to try to figure out how we can best meet everybody's needs in this model. Teachers are empowered to work through solutions for all of these things. You know that this is something that Robin Hecht and Mike Bakatsias will monitor very closely to ensure that we have as many solid, positive connections as we possibly can. And where we see things falling off, the two of them will work tirelessly to help out families in any way that they possibly can.
When are Chromebooks being handed out?
Schedule will be coming out soon for those that we have in stock. And as soon as we get the 500 that are on order we'll also develop a schedule for getting those out to the remaining families. Ms. Hecht and Mr. Bakatsias will work with principals on getting those out as soon as we possibly can.
What if a child cannot log on until the parents get home from work?
That is a piece that's going to have to be worked through with the grade level teacher and the subject area teacher. Those are some details that need to be worked person to person. And that's teacher to family.
Okay, we just jumped here. So how is it that we can send our kids to YMCA, but we can't send them back to school?
No, the Y program is a daycare program. So that's not, it's not like a YMCA gym program. It's a daycare program. And we're not sending anybody there. Families choose to participate in those programs that are offered by the Y programs.
Another question about when guidance counselors will be available.
Middle school guidance counselors are available this week and next week. High school guidance counselors, there's a small staff there right now, and the rest of them will be arriving next week.
How are kids accountable for attendance, as many kids didn't attend the meetings in the past?
Great question
from my mom.
Yeah, great question. That accountability structure is part of the communication and collaboration on a weekly basis. We want teachers to make sure that families know exactly what the expectations are on a weekly basis, and then communicate frequently on how children are participating or not. And that's the purpose of those Mondays collaboration and communication days.
Where, when, and how did the disconnect occur? What had to the state if our children were doing online full-time just 2 days ago?
Fantastic question. We've reached a critical mass with the number of people that have chosen to be online and the number of families that are staying in the hybrid model and simply cannot offer both programs at the same time because of the magnitude. And on top of that, the health regulations will create significant disruptions anytime there's illness, causing us to close down classrooms, causing us to close down schools, just to investigate with the Department of Health the nature of the illness. Is it a COVID illness, or is it just a simple other illness? So we will go through a detailed element of that Thursday night.
Has the administration discussed the possibility of looping teachers from last year at the K-5 level to pursue consistency and familiarity?
The administrations responsible for that are listening to this call and absolutely will take that into account in their final preparations of schedules.
Will there be a regular schedule for students to follow? For example, if Bio 101 is being taught at 7:30 until 8:15, will the students in the middle school and high school follow that schedule?
Correct. There will be it's actually a sample schedule you can see right now on our Return to Learn page for the middle school and high school. They have a split schedule that spreads the periods out over a 2-day period or a 2-day timeline. So there will be specific times for meeting each of those classes.
What happens if you cannot get your child to the live meet due to the parent's work schedule? My child should not be penalized in this instance.
Agreed. That's where there's going to have to be some customization between families and teachers to see how best we can meet the needs of the families and those children. Guidance counselors will be part of that discussion. Administrators at the building level will be part of that, as well as teachers at each grade level and subject area.
If the kids cannot be in the live meets, when will they be recorded for the students to refer back to?
Right. So those are some of the details that are being worked on right now, and I'm going to defer that to a question that building principals can answer and your own teachers can answer. So that's part of the flexibility that has to be built in to be able to help families manage through this.
Talking about internet access, a lot of the families have been internet access that a lot of families have been asking about.
If you're having difficulty that is insurmountable regarding internet access, please contact Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Robin Hecht, or Assistant Superintendent for Technology and Personnel, Michael Bakatsias, and we will do what we can to help you out. There are options and possibilities. We want to help and connect, keep kids as connected as possible. You might want to also start
more
with
questions about where teachers. Yeah, and more questions about where teachers are teaching from.
their classrooms.
So if our child does not get a Chromebook by the 8th, will they be penalized for the day they missed because of this?
We're not looking to penalize anybody. We're trying to figure out how we can best meet everybody's needs in a more structured way, but also more flexibility. So we're going to have to defer that back down to the building level and to the teacher level to figure out how best we can work our way into the fall together. This is not an us and them thing. This is a together thing.
Why are Catholic schools allowed to open 5 days a week, but not public schools?
They have a different rule structure that is not something that's within our purview. So it's not the same. It's not apples and oranges.
This is a statement. Statements. More statements. I'm trying to get to where there's some questions here. How will students be held accountable for attendance?
They will be held accountable for attendance. So that should be a communication that's ongoing between families and teachers, so that families are certain that their children are participating and also handing in their assignments. And that's the purpose of frequent communication. You should not have to wait until the marking period is over to know how well your children are doing.
What professional development has been provided to support teachers with this demand? Skill level, abilities to implement virtual instruction varies.
Great question. Significant amount of professional development has already been offered and will continue to be offered. We will also continue to have live support for staff members, so that if they have a tool that they need to learn about, we will have people to help teach them about that tool. I think actually the last time Rob gave us some statistics, we had run in the springtime something like 200 plus staff development workshops regarding online platforms and online learning for staff members and for families and students as well.
Why wasn't the board discussion with administration done in public? This is an issue not to hear from each board member and their position on this matter. There will be a public discussion on Thursday night, but we did not feel it was fair to the public to postpone the decision to let everybody know where we landed tonight after meeting with our council. How will children be able to transport to CTEC?
I'm sorry, Frank, what'd you say?
How will children be transported to SeaTech?
By bus. We'll have bus routes set up for taking kids out to SeaTech on our buses.
I'm just going to say that I'm not going to continue to answer. People keep seeming wanting to post where the teachers are teaching from. We've answered that. I'm not going to keep asking the same question. Do we know when SeaTech starts?
Very good question. I don't know the answer to that. Does Robin, Rose, do either of you know?
The last I heard, it was September 3rd.
Okay. Once we know that, we'll make sure that high school principal Lawler gets that information out to SeaTech families.
I have two students, junior and senior, that didn't learn anything for 3 months. Our children need to be back in the classroom.
I'd say for please contact me if you're having that same experience this fall. It is a completely different experience that we're designing and designed, and it should be a significantly different experience. If it's not for you, please contact my office so I can understand better what's going wrong.
I jumped ahead because there's so many questions here. How will the students be assigned to classes?
Just like they normally would. Teachers and principals at the elementary level collaborate on developing classes which are primarily already developed. And then as far as the middle school and high school, it's based on course selections, and then students are put into those courses with teachers and balanced sections so that you don't have one section where there's 10 students and another section where there's 30 students. You want to make sure you balance that out. So that's part of the process that the guidance counselors work with the administration on sorting students into classes through the schedule.
Have you considered some kids and or grades go in a week and other kids go in the next week to minimize the amount of kids in school while others are online?
Yeah, great question. Our issue wasn't the number of students in at any given time. We believe the hybrid model that we had put together limited the number of children in our classes significantly. However, the regulations are so tightly wound that there's just simply no way for us to meet all of the health and safety requirements as they currently sit and ensure to our families that we're going to be able to keep everybody safe. Who's to say when there's an illness, COVID or not illness, there will be immediate significant disruption to everybody's life if the Department of Health determines that we need to shut down a classroom or a grade level or a school immediately for a period of time while the Department of Health determines, is this a COVID matter or not? Testing takes time, and that is an immediate disruption that would occur multiple times throughout the fall as we muddle through.
What is the itemization of the CARES funding? What has already been spent and on what supplies?
We can get that information for Thursday night, but primarily we have used the CARE funding, which amounts to about $280,000 for purchasing 500 Chromebooks, plus some additional technology needs that we have around the district to enhance our in-building technology needs. And also, I think there was about $100,000 worth of PPE and cleaning supplies and sanitization supplies.
When will we get the online sites being used for the academy?
I'm not sure I fully understand the question.
I guess, and my only read is that we're not using outside vendors for this. This is actually our teachers teaching on our normal systems.
Right. So the primary basis will be through the Google platforms and through Google Meets and through Google Classroom. And then obviously it branches out from there for, depending upon the grade level and the subject area, for content and subject area specific software. But the primary entry point will be through Google Meets and the Google platform. Obviously, School Tool has a lot of information on it regarding schedules and grades and attendance, grades for secondary level and attendance for everybody. So those are really, I guess, your primary platforms.
Are teachers going to be required to use Google Classroom learning platforms at all grade levels?
It's the primary way for organizing classes. So, I mean, there's an awful lot more to the world than Google that teachers can use also, but that's the primary way for classes to organize and meet. So, we've bought into the full Google platform. Google Meet is the way that we put together these meetings, and live meets the teachers can put together will be through Google Meet. So Zoom is not something that we are going to be using and endorsing because we already bought into Google and it works wonderfully.
Do you think we will definitely go back full-time in October when we need to plan ahead?
I don't know. I think that we haven't set a date on purpose. We're looking at it as a series of metrics or measurable items that we'll display for the public to see and send out on Thursday night at the board meeting. We're looking at it more as when can we make progress on meeting the requirements, and when we reach critical mass where those requirements for health and safety and programming needs can be met, then we can start to come back together again in person. Until then, we need to work towards and progress monitor ourselves on complying with the elements that we must comply with. Listen, folks, the worst case scenario is we hastily put something together and either we can't deliver the academic programming that you need, or we put our students and our staff in jeopardy because we didn't fully put together the proper health and safety measures in accordance with CDC regulations, Department of Health regulations. This is complex stuff. It's not just simply put them all back in a room and let them learn. There's an awful lot of detail that goes into making sure we get this right. Because if we get it wrong, student learning doesn't work as it should, and health and safety is in jeopardy. And this group, this Board of Education, and my administration cannot enter into something where I can't guarantee that we're going to get it right.
Can we use our school taxes that we pay and send them to private school?
That's not allowable under current New York state law.
Are there tax credits going out now that we are learning online?
I am not aware of anything under New York state law that allows for that.
Will new high school students have to come in person to register if they're fully remote?
We do need some physical documentation for registering new students, but if we can't get you in person, there are ways that we can transfer the documents. So I'd contact your school's office and they can direct you to our registration office, or if you simply call to the middle school, our registrar is housed at the middle school and they can direct you to our student registrar to get you registered.
Another question about guidelines to come back to hybrid. At this point, we don't know. We will discuss it further on Thursday and every board meeting going forward from there. Will there be books and workbooks handed out to students? Not all students do good online.
Buildings will work on that on a case-by-case, grade-by-grade, subject-by-subject basis. It's on it's however that program is whatever that program needs.
The soft opening date that was given to my children is still the same day then? We don't have time for the we don't have a time for the soft opening date. What time will children be set to go?
So there's no one that's going to be coming in attendance. We'll make sure we get that clearly out to you, and your building principals will communicate. We're going to begin the online academy during that soft opening week, and that's where teachers will begin to establish connections with children for meets and for getting to build a rapport, to start to understand online routines, to get syllabus out there, course requirements, and get reacclimated with online learning. So that will occur during the week of September 8th through the 11th, and then full online learning begins on Tuesday, September 15th. more detail will come from building principals and also your teachers over the next couple of weeks.
Will that be a full day of school of the soft opening days, Mike, or that truncated day that the normal online academy is going to be?
Right. So they will not be full days. It will be miniature meets, but the details are being worked out over the next couple of weeks, and you'll get a communication on it from your principals and from your teachers.
For students who have signed up for remote learning, are they going to continue with remote learning when situations change? Also, will there be an advance notice before changes are implemented? And I think the best way to put that is we are going to evaluate this again every 2 weeks. And at every board meeting, we'll be able to give a status update and give people as much advance notice as possible. And as to whether or not we continue the full online, I think as the governor's requirement sits today, we don't have an option. We have to offer the full online academy unless something changes from the governor's direction. Correct, Mike?
It's correct. It's correct.
Okay. I'm going to take a couple more here. The online academy, if you look at this, some questions about the schedule. The online academy is 4 days. 1 day is 5 periods, 1 day is 4 periods, and then it rotates 5 periods and 4 periods.
We'll send out some sample schedules in the next couple of days on that.
Is it safe for our teachers to be in the buildings?
Yes.
If there's an outbreak with teachers, won't that put us in a worse position to cover instruction? It has to be safe.
If there's an outbreak anywhere, it puts us in a worse position. It'll be a significantly limited number of people with just staff in building, and we'll monitor very closely and follow all CDC guidelines. I'm sorry, Department of Health guidelines.
Okay. Just to thank you. Okay, so at this point, we've been doing questions for about 50 minutes. So we're going to, I'm sure we missed some, trying to keep up with the chat as it moves forward. We will pick up on Thursday night at a regular board meeting at 7:30, and we will go through the guidelines and such for the public comment period. But it will be through our YouTube channel as it sits today. So thank you. With that, I'll take a motion to go into executive session to talk about a particular person, employment history. Can I have a motion to go into exec? Joanne, second. James, all in favor, just a thumbs up. Okay. So the motion passes 6-0. There'll be no action at the end of the executive session. Thank you, everybody. We will see you at 7:30 on Thursday evening. Have a good night.